had a chance to organize this for you today. It's a very special assembly at the beginning of a school year. You have a whole school year in front of you, and a great opportunity as we begin to nail it for Christ. And that's what we want. And one of the things we want to make sure we get right is just how we relate to each other. So much about school has to do with our culture that you're living in day to day in the hallway and in the classrooms and even online. And how we relate to each other is so important. The Bible says so much about it. And we can live with each other in a way that is so pleasing to the Lord and build each other up, or we can tear each other down. And one of the harshest ways we tear each other down is this whole concept of bullying. And so some of you guys know we're going to hit that pretty hard this year. As teachers and as administrators, we are very, very concerned, and we want this environment to be a place where everyone is safe and Christ is honored. That's a big deal to us. And so it's such a big deal that we've kind of written special policies about it, and we're bringing in special speakers. And we found this guy right here in Indianapolis. Now, he goes all over the world to speak, but he lives here in Indianapolis, and he's got 5 kids, and he's got all different kinds of things going on in his life. But he has passion for Christ, and he is kind of focused his research on specifically bullying and what we can do and what you guys can do as students to make sure we have a school that honors the Lord as we just dump the whole bullying thing. So we're going to have a word of prayer, and then we're going to welcome our speaker. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this morning. Thank you for the chance we have as a school to open up our Bibles, to open up in prayer, to do so many different things, to point our hearts consistently toward Jesus. And Lord, we want your word to be rich in our school. We want your spirit to be evident in our hallways and in our classrooms. And we are so thankful that we can pursue you while we're at school. And Lord, as we focus now and listen carefully to what the special speaker has to say, I would ask that you would work in our hearts and lives, and that Heritage Christian School would be such a safe and awesome place for kids to grow up. In Jesus' name, amen. Would you guys welcome Mr. Jerry Ackerman.
My name's Jerry. Say, hey, Jerry. Hey, Jerry. On the count of 3, tell me your name. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Good. We're going to start a little bit differently than maybe you're used to. If you could, please stand. Can you stand if you're able to? Oh, don't sigh yet. Come on. All right, this is very easy. This is called the mower. And all you have to do is do what I do. Alright, get a little bit of space between you and the persons beside you. Yeah. Spread your feet a little bit apart. I know it's early, but you can do it. First thing we have to do is turn the mower on. I want to see participation from that back row up there. Here we go. Like this. Oh, but you ran out of gas. Let me hear it. Fill the motor. Back up with gas. Here we go. Some of you in here have a hot date tonight. Who has a hot date? Anybody? No, not that many of you. So you gotta go back inside your house. You gotta get all the lawn junk off of you. And the first thing you do is you completely and thoroughly wash your face. Like this. because we got to put it on. Almost every time I begin speaking to students, I begin with the lawnmower. And it's always interesting to me because the percentages are usually the same. I mean, in a middle school setting, usually like 80% of you, you're riding the mower, you're doing it, and like 20% of you are like, no way, not gonna do that. And I don't know why some of you chose not to. I don't know if somebody beside you wasn't doing it, so you weren't going to do it, or maybe you were all dressed up and you didn't want to get sweaty. I don't know why. But I think that in the last 3 minutes and 44 seconds, you found out something about yourself. Because I really believe in these spontaneous moments, we learn something about ourselves. And here's what I think. I think that if you chose not to participate in the last 3 minutes and 44 seconds in a safe room amongst friends, doing something fairly harmless, if you weren't willing to participate then, what about when you're called upon to be a leader when it really counts? What about when it really matters and you are called upon to do something maybe not everybody else is doing? And especially with the topic today, would you have the courage, would you have the willingness to lead? Well, that's what I want you to think about as we go through today. And often I'm at public schools. That's where I spend a large part of my time. And I don't get to talk about one important aspect that I cannot talk about there that I need to talk about here. Because it almost doesn't make sense with whatever I talk about if I don't share with you the worldview. And some of you in here don't have this worldview. And the worldview is what was spoken about before I even began. Christ needs to be the center. See, this issue of bullying, I think any issue in life, that is a sin, and I think bullying is a sin. It's an issue of the heart. I believe the heart of the problem is the problem of the heart. And for some of us in here, before we even talk about anything today, you need to think about your relationship with Christ. And where is it? Do you have it? Do you even know what that looks like? I'm not naive to know that some of you are here and you're not really following Jesus, you're just here. And some of us in here, hear me now, it's not many, but there's some of you in here that need to hear this. You need to stop playing church. You need to stop playing Christian school. And you need to find out what it means to have a relationship with Jesus. Because all we're going to talk about today really doesn't make sense completely if you don't understand that. Man, I'm going to be here all day. I would love to talk to you about anything else, about what it means to have a relationship with Christ. Because that is the center of everything that I talk about and I try to live by, is through that prism. I need 2 volunteers. 2 volunteers. Okay. How about you in the black? I see you in the black. Come on down. And you in the white up there. The girl. Yeah. Come on. One of you. Just one of you. There's 2 white. Come on in. Give them a hand. Here they come. Come over here, sir. Right here. Clap for her some more because she's not done here yet. Awesome. All right, come up here, sir. What is your name?
Andrew.
Everybody say, hello, Andrew. Hello, Andrew. And what is your name? Allie. Everybody say, hello, Allie. Hello, Allie. I want to open this idea of bullying up to you in maybe a different way. But I need to begin here because as you're looking at here, this is how we typically think bullying looks like. Andrew, you're going to be our mean, nasty, hateful, angry person. Can you be mean, hateful, and angry for us? All right, do it. Like, give me your angry thing. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so he's our angry, mean, nasty guy. And usually, we think this person here finds someone here that maybe is a bit smaller. Maybe they think a bit weaker. Maybe they think is an easy target. And we think it's this one person here that's targeting one person here. Which is why most of us in this room, we knew this was about bullying, and we've already decided to check out. And for good reason. Most of you in here are neither. In fact, 3 to 5% of you we would say is a bully, and we'll get to what that means here in a minute. And only about 3 to 5% of you are bullied. So for a lot of you in here, you're like, Jerry, man, I'm right in the middle. I mean, I'm right here. That has nothing to do with me. In fact, I'm just dreaming about what lunch is like today. This has nothing to do with me at all. And yet, if it was this simple, I would say you're off the hook, then you don't have to pay attention and think about lunch, but it's not that easy. I need 3 more volunteers. You come on up here. You point yourself, so might as well. And, you in the red right here, come on up. Stand behind Andrew here. Give them a hand. Here they come. Stand up. Come over here. Behind him. Come over here. Listen, this is what is so important. We're going to come back to it at the end, but you got to understand this. The power of Andrew, I'm not saying you're a bully, you know that. I mean, maybe you are, but I don't think you are. Right? So, like, the power of this guy or this girl to do anything to anyone, the power resides in these 3 people back here. Because if you're not a bully, and if you're not bullied, then you are a bystander. And in most schools, about 90% of the population is a bystander. You might say, what's a bystander? Simply, it's somebody that stands by. They might see it. They might hear it. They might read about it on Facebook, but they just stand by. You might say, in specific, though, what could a bystander do? What kind of power do they really have? Well, if Andrew is picking on Allie, you 3 could agree with what he's doing, and you could laugh at her. So laugh at her. That was awesome. Is that how you guys laugh? Ha. Everybody do that. On a count of 3, say ha. 1, 2, 3. Ha. Okay, yeah, you could do that. Maybe a little bit more joyously. But you could do that, or as a bystander, you could agree with what he's doing and you could give him props. So give him a high five. Yeah, you could do that. Or what bystanders do more than anything is they simply remain silent. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. You might say, Jerry, well, I was taught to keep my hands to myself. By you remaining silent, you're basically agreeing with whatever he does. You're basically saying, hey, it's okay. Because by not saying anything, you're saying, go ahead and do it. And for bullying to take place in any school, it means there's a lot of these people back here doing nothing. Research says if you would do something rather than nothing, if you would do anything rather than nothing, bullying would be cut in half, 50% at any school that did it. Today's decision day. And even though we're in a Christian school, some of you need to make this choice. You can no longer be in the middle. You can't play this game and say, it's not my problem. You might not be this part of the problem, but you're the third wheel. You are part of it. And you either need to choose to be here, or you 3 come over here, or choose to be here. Now, based upon the numbers now, who do you think has more power, Andrew or Allie? Allie, absolutely, because she has now numbers behind her. In fact, when they were leaving, he said, hey, there goes my posse. Yep, did you? You did say that, yeah. So now the numbers are, listen, I realized this walk from here to here, this 7 feet is some of the hardest walk that some of you will ever do. Because to go from here to here means your reputation might take a hit. Means it might take a little dent to back up the person that's getting bullied. It might mean that you've got to step out and take a bullet, so to speak, in order to protect someone that continually gets pummeled. Instead of being safe and just being over here with my mouth shut, I'm going to decide that I'm going to come over here and play an active role in ending this. I can tell you this, listen, bullying did not begin with your administration or your teachers. God love them, they can't stop it. Bullying did not begin with your parents, and although they're awesome, they cannot stop it. Bullying, whether or not you thought you had a role to play, it began right here, and it needs to end right here. Give them all a hand as they have a seat. I got the cart before the horse, but let me give you my definition for bullying, okay? I'm going to give you two, so hang with me on the first one. We've got to start on the same page. I want to tell you what it is, then the ways that we do it, and then I want to do something that I think might help us all in dealing with this issue more specifically. Here's my definition. Repeated acts or gestures by a student or a group of students against another student with the intention of harassing, ridiculing, causing harm, or causing fear. Repeated acts or gestures by a student or a group of students against another student with the intention of harassing, ridiculing, causing harm, or causing fear. If you didn't pay attention to that definition, maybe you will with this one with the help of Taylor Swift. Why you gotta be so mean? Yeah, you know the song. And you know what mean looks like. You don't gotta demonstrate what mean looks like. The question, though, is, are we gonna let mean become the norm? Is it just going to be normal for mean things to happen and for certain people just not to do anything about it? Or is today the day when you decide, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're not going to let mean happen. How do we let mean happen? I boiled it down to 4 different ways. Verbal, physical, relational, and through cyberspace. Everybody say verbal. Verbal. Say a little bit louder. Say verbal. Verbal. Verbal is by far and away still the biggest way that we bully others. 70% of bullying is still verbal. Here's the thing with verbal bullying. It's whenever you use the flaps of skin on the front of your mouth, on the front of your face, to say something hateful, negative, derogatory, malicious, you get the drift. But here's the thing with verbal bullying, and check this out. Raise your hand if you take the bus. You take the bus. You're on that big yellow thing. Not a whole lot of people. You can even be on that, though. Or you can be carpooled in a car. And you can be sitting beside somebody. You can even, with a smile, you can be trashing that person. And you can be saying nasty stuff. And nobody knows what you're saying. But it's bullying just the same. Everybody say not cool. Not cool. We have physical bullying. Physical bullying is when you ever decide to kick, punch, pull hair, bite. Maybe we're overbiting, but you know what? Research says there's some of us in here that are physically bullied. And it's usually by the same person, at the same place, at the same time, day after day, and you have no idea how to get out of it. Everybody say not cool. Not cool. Verbal, physical. Third one is relational. Some of you might not know what I mean by relational, but let me demonstrate, because I think when it comes to bullying, this is very prevalent. Because a lot of relational bullying happens in this room. Check this out. It's whenever you get together with your besties because your group is awesome. And he's not. I mean, because our group, man, we know how to dress, we know what to say, we know how to diss the teachers, we know what's cool, what isn't, what's in, what's out. I mean, because after all, we're awesome. And she's not. And I know some of you are saying, yeah, but Jerry, listen, man. I mean, this is just a group that I hang out with. And I mean, I've known them since like kindergarten, and we can like finish each other's sentences, and we just love each other. But you need to realize that that person that you leave out of your group, that you intentionally say, the person that you leave out of that group, the one that you make feel like a leper, like you make feel like some kind of outcast, that you make to feel like they're somehow less human than you are, you need to realize how much that hurts. Everybody say not cool. Not cool. Verbal, physical, relational. Last one is cyber. Everybody say cyber. I know it's not a great word, but it's all I got. Raise your hand if you have a cell phone. Come on, raise your hand because you love it. It's awesome. Keep your hand up high. Come on, keep it up. Give your hand up if you have a computer, or 2 or 3 or 4. Who has a TV in their room? Keep your hand up if you have a TV in your room. Who has a DVR or old school VCR? Who has an iPod? Raise your hand. Who has a set of wheels? It's your car. You're lying. Liars. Yeah. Listen, you guys are connected. Pretty connected. And we got to talk about technology. We got to talk about technology. Because I believe that this plays a role in our bullying. In fact, I'm going to get this out of the way right now. We can be honest, right? I only got 30 minutes left, so I'm not going to be around the bush. Listen, this deal, if you are going home, or if you're at school, and you hide behind this device, if you hide behind a glass screen to do your dirty work, if you choose to hide behind this in the comfort of your home and reach out and try to bully others with this device, I have one thing to say to you. You are an absolute coward. Clap if you agree with me. For those of you that are using this to stoke fear into someone, shame on you. Because that's just cowardly. And listen, I understand that there is really sometimes a problem with explaining what bullying is because we think everything is. Listen, I know there's going to be conflict. Right? There's conflict. Raise your hand if you have ever had a fight with one of your friends. You've had a fight with a friend. Who had a fight this morning with your mom before you came to school? Who is... Look, they're not looking. Raise your hand if you've ever had a fight with a teacher. You've had a fight with a teacher. Wow. Who has ever had a fight with your boyfriend or girlfriend? Had a fight with him before? Yes, I did. Yeah. Hey, listen. Listen, there's going to be conflict. And I told your parents last night, whenever shoulders are rubbing with each other day in and day out, there's bound to be conflict. And that's different than bullying. Because conflict is, even with friends, you could say something or you're angry or something went wrong that day, a hard word was said, maybe a little hip check in a locker. But it's not something that's repetitive and malicious and goes on even when it's addressed. And that's when you cross the line into bullying. Whether it's bullying or whether it's conflict, you cannot deal with issues through this device. What's your name?
Lindsay.
Everybody say hello, Lindsay.
Hello, Lindsay.
Lindsay, if I had an argument with you, I know I'm going down a little bunny trail here, but stay with me, right? If I have a conflict with Lindsay, who should I address? Lindsay! Everybody's like, Lindsay, of course. And guess what we do? If I have an argument with Lindsay, normally, this is what a lot of people that I know end up doing. They're like, do you know Lindsay? I mean, what a joker. I mean, did she ever do this to you? What's the deal with her? And we never actually talk to her. We talk to everybody else about her. Oh, some of us will just decide, well, I'm just going to text her. Did you know that there's a lot of us in this room that we would text words on this screen that we would never dare have the courage to say face to face? See, something happens when I've got to come to Lindsay one-on-one, face-to-face. All of our emotions are involved. She can see my body language. She can see if I'm rolling my eyes. She can hear my tone. Everything is in sync here. And I can guarantee you're going to get to the bottom of an argument a lot faster by doing this than by doing this. Because some of you, even right now, you're in this cyber warfare with someone. You're going back and forth, and then you see them at Walmart. Awkward. So if you have an argument with someone, you need to come face it. I can guarantee you that, Lindsay, if we really truly had an argument, and I came to you, and we tried to hash it out right here, would you have more respect for me the fact that I tried to do that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Even for somebody that you ticked off or you've had an argument with, if you have the courage to come to them face-to-face, biblically handle conflict, one-on-one face-to-face, that person is going to respect you a whole lot more than if all they're doing is getting ding, 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 ding from you for weeks on end. We got to talk about this technology bit a little bit more. I've got to warn you about some things. Some of you know this, but you don't. You know it, but you don't. When you are online, listen to me, whether you're in the back row or the front row, when you are online, it is your responsibility. It's not your parents' responsibility. It's not your teacher's responsibility. Your dog didn't eat it. It's your responsibility. Totally up to you. Let's be honest, there's some of you in here that are not very responsible with what you do online. In fact, before you came in here, I broke into one kid's Facebook account and we're about to show his homepage right here. No, I'm kidding. But if that was the case, some of you know what you're going to do? If I said, hey, I'm on your Facebook page right now, you'd be like, whoa, hold on. Delete, 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 delete. Some of you in here, by the pictures that I would see on your Facebook page, you would blush. By the videos that are on there, by the language that I see being used, and you might say, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it is. If I went to your Facebook page today, I could probably get it. 96% of Facebook users, their Facebook page is public. Raise your hand if you have a Facebook page. Who has a Facebook page? You got one? Anybody on MySpace, like the 9 of us that are still there? Yeah. Good. A lot of you aren't on there. But if you are on there, listen, it's telling us a whole lot. You can text something too. What about this? Who texts? Raise your hand if you text. How about this for statistics? Let's try this, since that's the route we're going. How about this? Wall Street Journal a few weeks ago said this. It said 80% of 13 to 18-year-olds, 80% of 13 to 18-year-olds sleep with or within a foot of their cell phone. Raise your hand about you. Be honest. Come on. Be honest. Be honest. Some of you are like, Same article in the Wall Street Journal said this. It said over a third, 36% of 13 to 18-year-olds send over 100 texts a day. Raise your hand about you. About 100 a day? Some of you getting like, Hey, let me tell you this. Listen, every picture that you upload, every video you link to, every text you type, every comment you make, every status you update, you can never take it back. Once you press that send button, it's gone. And the NSA has kind of verified that last week or two. You've got to realize that whatever you send out there, you can't get it back. And some of you are like, no, you know what, I have really good deletion software, and plus I clear my history, and my cache is, no, I don't care. It is still out there. You might say, Jerry, I don't believe that. Well, months ago now, one of my email accounts, in the morning I woke up, there was 343 new email messages in my inbox. A lot of emails, even for me. I was like, something's wrong. I went in there, scrolling through my email messages, and I found some in that 343 that were time-stamped, meaning the date that they were originally sent was the year 2004. 9 years ago. These emails that were sent reappeared in my inbox. Who knows how or where or why. But all it told me is that whatever I put out there, I can't get it back. And some of you in here know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't need me to tell you that. Because there's that picture that you have out there that you completely regret now. There's that comment that you put online, and you can't seem to scrub it off of Facebook. It's still there. You might say, what's the deal? Why are we dealing with this? Because I believe this device and that computer screen and that iPad is at the very center of what we do when we bully. Cyberbullying ramps up, and it's at full force between 10 p.m. at night and 2 a.m. in the morning. It's when your parents put you to sleep, and they say, "Good night, Julie." "Hi, Mom." She closes the door, and you pull out from underneath your pillow, and you go to town. And then all these things are stirred up. You come to school, and teachers are like, "What is going on?" "Well, what went on was last night." And see, I believe that's the epicenter. Here's what I think. Listen, based upon the show of your hands, everybody's texting here, you all have a phone. Listen, when it comes to being online, you guys are completely connected. Raise your hand if you're on Instagram. Anybody on Instagram? Yeah, because, see, that doesn't have an age limit to it, so we can get on there. Anybody use Ask.fm? Anybody on that thing? Ooh, be careful with that. Anybody use Snapchat? Raise your hand if you're a Snapchatter. I mean, listen, when it comes to being online, a lot of us in here, we are completely connected. And yet, at the same time, for a lot of us that are sitting in this room, we are completely disconnected. I need a volunteer. Need a volunteer? How about you? Because you're really squirmy. Come on up. Come on. Give her a hand. Here she comes. Here she comes. All right, tell us what's your name. Everybody say hello, Evelyn. Hello. Evelyn, I have a question for you. I want an honest answer. Okay? Here's my question. It's a question for you. I want you to think about what your answer is as well. But here's my question. Evelyn, I want you to tell me how many friends you think you have. And before you give me a number and before you think your number is, let me explain what I mean by friend. I'm not talking about that person that's walking down the hall and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm talking about your close-knit group of friends. People you normally hang around with. In fact, I want to drill down even deeper. I'm talking about those set of friends where if you had an issue, or you had a problem, or there was really something serious going on in your life, you could actually go to that person, talk to them about it, and they would encourage you and listen to you and not change the subject or walk away. Based on that definition, how many friends, Evelyn, do you think you have?
2.
She said 2. The average middle school student, on average, on that definition has 5. High school drops to 4. You become an adult, it drops to 2. Some of you might say, "I don't think of like 8 or 9. Some of you might be like Evelyn or even less. You're like, "I can only think of like 1. Whatever the case may be, in this room, according to that definition, the average has 5 friends. Give Evelyn a hand. Thank you very much. We're about to do an activity. Now, what we're about to do is something I've done with an audience 5 times this size, so I'm sure you can pull it off. But this is a part that kind of freaks out your teacher. So listen, in order to make it work, you've got to listen completely what I'm about to say before you actually do it, okay? So you've got to listen to completely what I have to tell you, and then I'll let you loose. But here's what I want you to do. When I say go, not yet, when I tell you to, I want you to find someone in this gym that you do not know. Somebody in this room that you do not know. And all you have to do, I mean, there's a camera back there. Don't run all around. In fact, there's probably someone fairly close. But I want you to just simply go to that person, stand beside that person, or sit beside that person. And then, when you're there, I will tell you what we're going to do from there. But before I let you loose, listen, I already know what's happened up there. Some of you have already hit the person beside you, and you said, "Hey, can we just pretend we don't know?" Okay, cool. Hey, if you want to not find somebody you know and just pull a friend with you, if you want to do that, that's cool. That's your choice. Nobody's going to know. It's up to you. I don't care. But if you want the most out of what we're going to do, if you want the most out of life, step outside your comfort zone, do something different. And there's also some people in here. I'll give you like a minute to do this. And some of you will like wait for 45 seconds. And when it's almost time, you'll stand up out of your seat and you'll look around the gym and you'll say, there's nobody left for me. Hey, if you want to do that, if you want to play the victim, that's cool, that's awesome. You go ahead and do that. But if you want the most out of what we're going to do, if you want the most out of life, step outside your comfort zone, find somebody you do not know, go. Here's what you gotta do. So you're with that person. Two things I want you to do. Don't do the first one until I tell you both. First thing I want you to do is tell that person your first name and your second name. Secondly, I want you to tell them something unique about yourself. The fact that you have shorts on, not unique. Tell them your name, something unique. Go ahead, go. Job. Clap for yourselves. You did a great job. Awesome. All right. Now, I need one more volunteer, but before you raise your hand, listen, if in that exercise, if you found someone that you already knew, I'm not interested. But if you truly found someone in this room that you did not know before, raise your hand because I might want to talk with you. You in the gray, right here. Come on up. Yep, come on up. Give her a hand. Here she go. All right, tell me your name. Emily. Everybody say, Emily, you rock! Emily, you rock! Emily, I have a quiz for you. She said, oh, no. Emily, I want to know from you the name of the person that you met and the unique thing about him or her. Can you give us that information, Emily?
Abby Craig, and she likes to write.
Where's Abby Craig? Where is Abby? Abby, come on down, Abby. Give Abby a hand. Abby over here. Listen, I don't want to over-exaggerate this, but honestly, truly, listen to me. I think what you did in the last 4 minutes, one of the most powerful things you can do. Emily, in the last 4 minutes, found someone in Abby she didn't know. Last 4 minutes, Abby found someone in Emily that she did not know. Some of you in here found somebody you didn't know and they were 2 chairs removed from where you're sitting. You might say, okay, Jerry, so what's the point? You want us to become friends? Is that what you're going after? No. That's bonus, though. If Emily and Abby become friends, that's cool, that's awesome, but that's not why I had you do what you did. I had you find that person, tell them your name and something unique about yourself, because by telling them that information, you have told them that you will become their defender. That if you ever see, if you ever hear, if you ever read about them getting bullied in any way, that you commit to them to come to their defense. You might say, yeah, okay, but like, I don't really know what you mean by that. Well, let's try this. If Emily sees Abby in the hallway, in between classes, and there's some people like finger in face saying some mean stuff to her, I think Emily has a right, she has a responsibility to go up there and say, hey, Abby's a friend of mine, get lost. Clap if you could say that. Clap if you could. If Abby is out, I don't know, if you're in gym class and she sees Emily and there's a little scuffle going on, there's like a little push and match. I'm not saying Abby gets in the middle of that, but I'm saying Abby finds an adult and says, hey, you got to help Emily over here, something's going wrong. Clap if you could say that. If Emily is in this room and she sees Abby over there in the corner, and there's been group after group that has said, no, you stay over in that corner. I think Emily has a right and she has a responsibility to go to Abby and say, Abby, forget them, come and sit and have lunch with us. Clap if you could do that. And if Abby sees online or through a text that Emily's being trashed in any way, somebody's being nasty, being negative, I think that Abby has a right and responsibility to find that person and say, listen, every time you want to say something mean about Emily, every time you want to go there, every time you want to be negative and dog her, each and every time, I'm going to call you on it. Clap if you can say that. And listen, young people, right now today, as you leave this room, bullying could no longer happen in this school. Here's my challenge to you. Today is Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. I want to give you a week. You have 1 week. Here's my challenge to you. I want you to find 5 people in this school that you do not know. And all I want you to do is tell them your name and something unique about yourself. That's it. Hey, my name's Jerry. How are you? Hey, something unique about me is I used to live in Hawaii. Cool, good to meet you. That's all you gotta do. And by sharing them that information, they realize, because they've been here too, that what you're telling them is you would become their defender. And if you ever see it, if you ever hear it, if you ever read about them getting bullied in any way, you will come to their defense. Yeah, you can't save the world, but there's quite a few around you that you can start getting behind and supporting and deciding, you know what? No more. If it's her, or if it's her, if it's him, or if it's you, today, oh no. No longer is anybody going to be able to say something nasty to you. No longer are we going to let this stuff go on any longer, because now, listen, if you're a bully out there, let me have your attention. Because no longer is it one-on-one. It could be 5 against 1. How do you like those odds? Yeah, you can clap if you want. your challenge bystanders, which is 90% of you, is to find people that you don't know, put your arm around them figuratively, and you get behind them and say, listen, if I ever see it, if I ever hear it, if I ever read about it, I commit to do something. Because I've been doing nothing far too long, and it's about time for me to step to the plate and do something. Give Abby and give Emily a hand today. I only have 7 minutes. I want to talk to the bullies, those that are bullied, and I want to tell you a story. That's it. We're out of time. Here's what I want to do. First of all, if you are bullied, I want you to raise your hand. You know if you are. But I want to tell you some things you need to do. Okay? Do we have any actors or actresses in here that really like to play a role? Come on up here, sweetie. Hurry up, hurry up. Give her a hand. Here she goes. I want you to roar as loud as you can.
Roar!
Give her a hand. That was decent. Alright, so whenever I count to 3, I want you to roar. Be angry, like Incredible Hulk angry, okay? Are you ready? So 1, 2, 3.
Roar!
Yeah, that's frightening. So if somebody comes at you and they're bullying at you, I don't care what they're doing. If you're bullied, listen. They come at you, first thing you need to do is be completely calm. Be calm. Because you know what happens. How do fights start? You say something back, da-da-da. And it's because we get angry at each other and the tension mounts, and that's when it goes out of control and you regret. If you remain calm when somebody's going, yeah, you're going to freak them out. If someone comes at you and does this, if they do that, you also, here's one thing I've learned, you compliment them. They're like trashing you. They're saying, man, who dressed you? Did your mama dress you this morning? What's the deal with you? And you say, that's a cool shirt. Man, it just like blows them away. They're like, what? I don't think. Kind of kill them with kindness. You be calm, you be confident. Thirdly, a lot of you in here that get bullied, you tend to be isolated. I want you to find some people that can surround you. Get a crowd. Get some people around you. It's a whole lot harder for her to do something to you when you are surrounded by people that can help you out. Numbers are a great defense. Give her a hand. Thank you very much. I know I dogged the bullies. I gotta spend a minute. I'll be done by 9, I promise. Well, I don't promise, but we'll be close. I want to talk to those that are bullies in here for just a minute. And I don't know who you are, but you know who you are. I mean, let's be real. You know if you are. And I want to tell you, if you're a bully out there, this is what I know about you. You are the most hurting people in this school. The reason you end up bullying others is because of junk going on in your life. I know it, and you know it. Because of home life, or broken relationships, or things you've been in or are in and you can't seem to escape it, you just come to school and you take it out into someone else. And I know that's because you're hurting. And if you are one of those people today, you need to find someone and just share your heart. Share your story. No condemnation. Nobody's going to go and rat you out. You need to find somebody you can trust and release this stuff. And start dealing with some of your issues. I can guarantee you, there is not a faculty member in this room that would not drop everything to have a real honest conversation with you if you're hurting. Because that's what this life is about anyway. Sharing the love of Christ with others in real, practical ways. I have time for one story. You guys want to hear a story? Yeah. Like 8 of you? Good. Listen, I want to feel the love if what I'm about to say you believe is true. Back in 2nd grade, I loved the Smurfs. Don't be shy. Smurfs are awesome. Back in the early 80s, they were like the coolest thing ever. I mean, I know they made a comeback here recently, but back in the early 80s, they sold these little 2-inch high figurine deals. They were made out of plastic or rubber or something. I collected these dudes. And back in 2nd grade, there was one Cowboy Smurf I did not have. I so wanted it. I wanted the Cowboy Smurf. He had the hat, he had the gun holsters, he had the whip, the cowboy boots. So wanted it, but I didn't have it. Lucky for me, in 2nd grade, right before Christmas break, we had a little gift exchange. It was real simple. We put everybody's name in a hat. Whoever name you pulled out, they got your name, you got each other a gift. Real simple. But I remember in 2nd grade, I pulled the name out of that hat that nobody in that 2nd grade class wanted. I got Willie. We called him Willy Wonka. Probably not an affectionate term, but that's what we called him. And Willie wasn't like the best dressed kid in 2nd grade. He often had dirt spots all over him. And if you got too close to Willie, like he had an odor about him. And if you tried to talk to Willie, like he really didn't know how to communicate. He was kind of socially awkward. And even in 2nd grade, even though we didn't know it, this is what we were doing to Willie, keeping him at arm's length. But you know how you roll in 2nd grade, right? I want to run up to Willie and say, Willie, listen, man, all I want is the Cowboy Smurf. Doesn't cost a lot of money. You can get it anywhere. Can you get it for me? He was like, I'll get it for you. I was like, cool, awesome. Then we came back. Mrs. Crawl's 2nd grade class, I remember it well. The desks were pushed off to the corner. We had a big circle. Every student was opening up his or her gift one at a time. The teacher was there in the circle with us. Parents were at the door ready to pick up their kid for break. And everybody had opened up their gift except me. I was the last one, and I'll never forget the moment. Because from across the circle, I saw Willie get up and started walking toward me with this gift. And based upon the size and the shape of the gift, I knew right away that it was not the Cowboy Smurf. Because what he was bringing me was something that was very flat, wrapped in yellow napkins, with a couple pieces of duct tape. He gave me that gift, he sat back down, and every 2nd grader was like, hey, be quiet, look over there at Jerry. Teacher was like, hey, be quiet, look over there at Jerry. Teacher's like, hey, shut, look over there. There it was, 2nd grade, complete silence. Everybody watching me. And I slowly began to unwrap some pieces of napkins, took a couple pieces of duct tape off, and what I pulled out was a very old, very dirty nursery rhyme book. You know, I didn't know it that day, but I certainly know today that back in that moment, Willie gave me everything he had. Everything he could find, everything he could scrounge up, everything that he had at his disposal, he gave to me. And that's my question for you this morning. Will you give everything you have? Or will this year become like any other year where you just kind of walk by whatever you see and mind my own business and I don't see it, I got to get to class, I'm ignoring you? Or will you come to school and live intentionally? Number one, will you get your life with Christ in order, like we talked about at the beginning? And secondly, when you see somebody hurting, when you see somebody in trouble, will you decide to get your hands dirty, get in front of them, maybe get hit a little bit if you can help someone from getting beat up? Will you have the courage? Will you have the willingness to lead? Everybody say, I like free stuff.
I like free stuff.
Say it like you mean. Say, I like free stuff.
I like free stuff.
Yeah, if you like free stuff, then this is what I want you to do. At some point today, I want you to go to this website. I want you to go to www.ridethemower.com. I want you to go to www.ridethemower.com. Say it with me. www.ridethemower.com. Yeah, you can get a lot of free stuff there, like some of the best Facebook status updates ever, some funny videos. You're going to find a full-length feature video of the lawnmower dance, because you know you want to do it at your next party. You know you do. And for some of you in here, you might be very interested that I'm about to finish my first ever breakup video that I will deliver to your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You're welcome. My name is Jerry Ackerman. Thank you very much. Thank you.